Hello, church. I hope your summer's going well. I just want to thank everyone who's given me so much positive feedback about the new series, Yoked, which focuses on Matthew 11 and Jesus' invitation for us to take his yoke upon us, to have a way that's lighter and easier. Apparently, I am not alone in somebody who has struggled with the pace of life and ministry and the consequences of doing that. So anyway, just grateful for the positive feedback we've gotten about that series. If you've yet to see it, I invite you to tune in. All right, so we find ourselves in James chapter 2. We pick it up in verse 8. And it says this: if you really keep the royal law found in Scripture, which is love your neighbor as yourself, you are doing right. But if you show favoritism, remember that was our conversation last week, the pitfalls and dangers of favoritism. But if you show favoritism, you sin and are convicted by the law as lawbreakers. For whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking all of it. For he who said, "You shall not commit adultery," also said, "You shall not murder." So if you do not commit adultery, but you do commit murder, you have become a lawbreaker. Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, which is Christ, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. I think the key takeaway phrase is that last sentence where it says mercy triumphs over judgment. So there's a lot going on in this passage. I think this is one of those scripture passages we come to when we're reading scripture, doing Bible studies, that it begins to get a little bit confusing. It's talking about the law, it's talking about judgment, it's talking about all these kind of things. I think we need to remember that the Old Testament law was given to the people as boundaries, bumpers, if you will, to keep people in line. But it also, for us, continues to be beneficial in that it does what for us? It lets us know where our sin is. It focuses us on our sin and the awareness that the sin exists inside of us. So I think that's important for us to remember as it relates to the law. But at the end of the day, Jesus has come and he's fulfilled the law, and so all the law is wrapped up in him. So the royal verse that is being talked about here by James is really love, right? So this is really what the royal law is nothing more than love. John 15 tells us, "This is my command," Jesus says, "love one another as I have loved you." So the royal law is love. If you begin all operations, all situations, all circumstances from a place of love, then you rarely, if ever, have to worry about the consequences and the outcome of that. That your motives and intention is to love like Christ loved you. This is the most important thing for us to keep in mind. Now, keep in mind that the law was not about restrictions, but the law was given so that it would be about love. Laws serve to protect others. Think about the laws we have in this nation. What is the purpose of those laws? It is so that we do not hurt ourselves and we do not hurt others. So in some sense, we could say that the law really is love because its intent is to protect other people from harm, which is essentially love, right? That we love one another. We want to see them thrive. We want to see them do well. So James is going into great detail as he compares the law, which is this concept of love, right, to where we're at now and this concept of judgment that is coming for all people. So our judgment no longer is based on the law, some sort of legalistic byproduct. Our judgment now is based on the judgment of Jesus. And so right at the end, James reminds us of something Jesus has said many, many times, is that the ones who will be shown mercy are the ones that are merciful. So I wrote this thought down this afternoon. I said, mercy is needed by all, but dispensed by few. Mercy is needed by all, but is dispensed by few. You know, we are quick to judge others and then beg for mercy ourselves. I think the great challenge for us as we move through life is to realize that it is mercy that leads the way as we deal with other people. Mercy is what allows us to forgive. And again, I'm not kind of advocating for forgetfulness here. We get hurt, we get dinged, but to operate in a sense of mercy is essentially to forgive. So I think James wants us to understand that the law was given so that it would point us towards our sin and the need for Jesus Christ, who captures the whole law in himself, and then becomes the royal law because it is based on love, right? His law is based on love. And then we're reminded that we are to not judge others. We are to be merciful. that we are to understand that if you're bound to the law, that if you break even the slightest part of it, you are guilty forever. But if you are bound to Christ, then mercy and forgiveness rules and reigns your day. So this is a complicated text that I hopefully have unpacked for us today so that we've got a little better understanding as we move into the week. So you might be asking yourself, all right, Corky, I heard everything you said. I kind of get the law thing a little bit. I kind of understand that love's a big part of this and we're to be merciful. So what's the takeaway for my week as I move about my week? Begin to see everyone that you encounter as a recipient of the royal law, which is love. To love one another as Jesus has loved you, and he has loved you unconditionally, and he has loved you sacrificially. Our lives would be so much better if we would begin to treat our spouses and our children from this place of unconditional love, which is the royal law. So I hope it's been helpful to you. I hope you're having a great summer and getting away or traveling or whatever it is you're doing. I pray that you are not traveling alone, that you remember that the gospel is mobile and it transports with you and goes with you and is with you always. I love you so much. I can't wait to be with you again next week as we dig a little deeper into James. Have a great week.